I want to preface this video by saying that I love indie games. In fact, there's probably only 2 franchises that I play which could be considered AAA. However, I've been noticing a common occurrence with some of my favorite games that could be seen as a problem, and I would like to take this time to discuss it. Many indie games have adopted a habit of announcing a new update or feature, making it sound like it will release in its complete form, and then when the time comes, they release a beta version or something that doesn't include all that was promised and end up delaying the final product. I have seen this exact thing happen in 3 of my favorite games specifically: Minecraft, Dwarf Fortress, and Project Zomboid. Now that this phenomena has reached Project Zomboid, which is the main game talked about on my channel, I thought it was time to discuss it. To get into some specific examples of what I'm talking about, in Minecraft, as many people know, there are features such as various biome overhauls, bundles, fletching table functionality, and more which were announced years ago but still are not in the game. When they were first announced, it seemed as though these features would be coming in the next update, but they never did. The worst example though would definitely be the Warden. It was originally announced as coming out in the 1.17 update, but in reality it wasn't released until 1.19, which is 2 whole updates later. This is also not to mention them having to split the Caves and Cliffs update into 2 separate parts. But this is hardly the bigger issue here, as Minecraft feels like its own separate thing from other indie games, and Minecraft is pretty much complete, and anything new they add is just extra content at this point. When it comes to unfinished games though, like Dwarf Fortress or Project Zomboid, there is a lot less room for excuses. The example of Dwarf Fortress is probably the one that angers me the most. Some people might know that Dwarf Fortress has been around for many years and has basically defined the fortress building genre of games. Recently, it made its debut on Steam with fully fledged graphics instead of the ASCII look it had before. This was very exciting and has surely brought many new players to this classic game. When it launched on Steam, however, it did not include its famous adventure mode, which allows you to explore and visit the fortresses that you've made along with the rest of the surrounding worlds that they're in. This was completely fine and understandable though, because I was having a lot of fun with the main part of the game, which is fortress mode, and I also could definitely see adventure mode needing a lot more work and art. The part where it begins to get frustrating, however, is when in November 2023, they announced that adventure mode would be releasing in April 2024. As you might expect, everyone including myself was super excited for this to happen, and we patiently waited the 5 months for this highly anticipated feature to come out. On the day of its release, we were greeted with this announcement on Steam saying Adventure Mode Beta out now. There had been previously no mention whatsoever of there being a beta, and it was implied that it would be releasing in its full version on this date. Clearly, I was very confused and upset about this, but I was willing to keep an open mind and play anyways. Unfortunately though, I was greeted with a virtually unplayable beta full of crashes and major FPS issues. After seeing that I couldn't even do what this update was advertised to allow you to do, I was so turned off to the game that I haven't played it since. Now, I probably won't return to it until adventure mode has been fully completed, which could be a while from now, seeing as after all this time, it feels like they still have a lot to get done. Getting to the most relevant culprit, and the one that I've been wanting to talk about the most, Project Zomboid has made it clear that they are now following the same pattern. As we all surely know, Build 41 came out in December 2021, which means that it's been almost 3 years of waiting on Build 42. For a game like this, it would normally be no problem and completely understandable since it's a small team with a lot to work on. However, I am a firm believer in the fact that it is not how long it takes for the update to come out which upsets people, it is what the developers say and do along the way that shapes expectations and lets people down when they don't deliver exactly what was promised in some instances years ago. Unfortunately, Project Zomboid has created many expectations and promises during the development of Build 42 that have proven hard to live up to. The first thing that comes to mind is I believe that NPCs were originally said to be coming in Build 42 all the way back in 2021. Clearly now, it's obvious that they are not coming in Build 42 and are now slated for coming in Build 43. This has left some people confused to this day, as it was a feature that so many people have been looking forward to. I understand that with the massive amount of things coming in Build 42 otherwise, NPCs on top of it would have been too much. However, it's just another example of developers overpromising and causing confusion. Probably the biggest and most glaring offense by the Project Zomboid team is the most recent one though. A few blog posts ago, when talking about their new plans to get Build 42 out sooner, not only did they make it apparent that the full version of the build would not only not be releasing this year as they announced on Twitter in January, but they also said that by the next blog, they would have a much better picture of when we could expect the unstable build to release, implying that they would at least talk about it further in the next Thursdoid. Unfortunately, however, they have not mentioned it again at all. They have also since deleted that tweet announcing Build 42 would be coming out this year, which is pretty much admission of guilt if you ask me. Maybe they felt pressure from the community to get Build 42 out, or maybe they got overly excited. But either way, if they didn't make this false announcement, there would surely be less discourse within the community right now. This brings me to a question that I would like to ask people. Is this behavior by indie game developers acceptable, or should they make a better effort to watch what they announce publicly about their games? On one hand, it's understandable to see that plans change and work gets overwhelming, but on the other hand, if you're working on a game that is going to take multiple years to finish an update, it would be smart to have caution with what information you put out there for your fans to dwell on. To the normal people on the outside who don't see the game being made and the work that is being done on a daily basis, it's hard to understand the amount of time it takes to program and make art for all of these new features being talked about. When a developer mentions that a new feature is coming, in the mind of the consumer, it sounds like it's already being tested and implemented. This is why I would say that it's best not to get too ambitious as a game developer and go off announcing things that you only have the concept for and aren't actually in the game at all yet. The most famous example of this is what happened to No Man's Sky at its release. They hyped up the game so much by publicly talking about all of the things that they planned on having in the game, but when it was taking too long to come out and they were pressured into releasing it, it came out largely incomplete with only a fraction of the features that they promised. They eventually redeemed themselves, however, by adding everything they promised and more into the game, but that has been happening over the course of the last 8 years, which should go to show you just how long it might take to fully realize someone's vision in the creation of a game. As you likely can tell by now, game developers are constantly under a lot of pressure from their communities, so we can see both sides. We should be patient with them because we all want the most quality game possible and don't want to damage the mental health of the people who have brought us these beloved games, but also maybe these developers need to learn when and what they should announce publicly. I personally do not mind waiting for updates because I would prefer them not to rush. I just dislike it when they say one thing and we get another or nothing at all, because then it changes the opinion people have of their game or company and causes frustration. So what do you think about all this? Should game developers watch what they say online, or are people being ungrateful and impatient? I mostly made this video to discuss this interesting topic with my community, as I have seen many comments on my videos voicing their opinions about both sides of the argument. We also have a Discord server you can join if you'd like to take the conversation there, get help on my Megamap project, or for any other reason. So let me know what you think. I'll see you all soon.